Good morning, PSC. Good morning. Welcome to the PSC's first 24-hour action, all day, all night demand for justice. I want to send my greetings and best wishes to you and to your students on this first day of the CUNY academic year, the first day of the semester at most of our campuses. I'm Barbara Bowen. I'm president of the PSC, and I'm joined this morning by Andrea Vasquez, the first vice president, Sharon Persinger, our treasurer, and Nivedita Majumdar, PSC secretary. Together, we have the honor of kicking off the PSC's first 24-hour online protest and demand for justice. Many of us have already gotten used to demonstrations where we gather with physical distances across outside spaces. And today we not only have a physical distance, but we have distance in time also. So I like to think of today's event as a new political form, an asynchronous demonstration. Lots of us are teaching asynchronous classes. Today's event is in some senses an asynchronous 24-hour demonstration. So you can stay with us all day. You can tune in whenever you get a chance in between your classes, at your lunch break. You can invite your students to watch with you, or you can watch through the night. And during the day, you will hear a record of an extraordinary struggle this summer as PSC members have really risen to the terrible occasion of this pandemic, of the other crises that have followed in its wake, the economic collapse, and then finally an exposure of the systemic racism that structures and mars our country and beyond our country. And in response to that, an outpouring of movement and demand for justice. And our demand for justice is part of the PSC's larger struggle to save lives, save jobs, and save CUNY. By this, we mean, first of all, save lives, because the lives of our own lives, our family, our students are literally on the line when we go out or into a workplace. The first item on our agenda is to save lives. Save jobs. We are fighting to save the jobs of every single PSC member. And save CUNY, which means not allowing this moment to become an excuse for remaking the university as a degraded and stripped down, all distance, large class, mechanized institution that underserves our students, a population that has already been vastly and deliberately underserved for generations. We're in really the struggle of our lives, and CUNY is in a particular and unique place given New York's history in the center of this pandemic for so long and the centrality of CUNY to New York City. So what you're going to see today is the fighting back of your colleagues, and some of you will see yourselves in videos and other actions today. There's been an outpouring of events, of street demonstrations, of protests, of union chapters rising up, of meetings, of writing, of powerful writing by our members into this crisis. And we've done all of that while I think all of us have experienced extraordinary stress in this period as we've had to transform our work, usually with lack of support from CUNY Central, as we faced anxiety and fear in our own lives for our students, for our families, and as all of us have been working what feminists used to call the double shift, doing work at home with our children, our families, our parents, while holding full-time jobs. So I want to salute all of you PSC members for the work you've done this year. And that work gives us power, gives me confidence that we are up for the battles ahead of us. We have already won some significant gains this summer and spring because of our work together. And I am confident that we can win the demands ahead, that we have the power and can build that power, because we face some very challenging times and some major obstacles still to be overcome. But today is about giving us the power, working together, and seeing what we have done already so that we can take the lead, as we should, as academics, as workers, as people in New York City, as people fighting against racism and for justice for ourselves. We can take the lead in this critical turning point moment, and today is one part of that. So I'm very proud to be welcoming you and everyone else who will participate all through the day. You'll see a glorious cavalcade think of it as a cross-time, a cross-space demonstration and enjoy every piece of it. So I'm really pleased to introduce Andrea Vasquez, Union's first vice president, who will take us to a video looking back over the summer. Thank you, Andrea.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, PSC. I've always wanted to say that. Right now, we're going to screen a video compilation of the PSC's Summer of Struggle events and of some of our legislative supporters. So let's go through that. And then there will be more video throughout the day, as well as tonight, when you'll see more of our action. So let's watch.
It's really the choice. Who's being prioritized by CUNY, by New York State and New York City? That's the choice that's being made. And so many of our legislators are standing up for the right choice. So I'm eager to hear from them.
You and your union has been at the front lines with the adjuncts, the professors, the people who come to CUNY as if it's a life mission, because it is. It's about learning, but it's also about thinking about a just and humane society. And if we've learned anything in the last few weeks, from systemic racism to wrong ways to fund police departments where we leave nothing to reinvest in our communities, is senseless. And anybody harming the mission of CUNY, that's the biggest mistake of all.
Improper funding of CUNY is really, like, we can call it out. It's a part of the systemic racism that we see all throughout our society and throughout our system.
We need to invest. We need to have resources. And how do we do that? Well, federal dollars may or may not come. The state has to step up no matter what. The state and the city has to say, we will ensure that high income earners pay more so our CUNY system can function.
We know that the best way to help us get through the post-COVID recovery is to be investing in our institutions of higher education. And here in New York City, that means CUNY. No questions asked.
Members, it's great to be with you. I'm sorry I have the mask on, but we're requiring everyone to wear masks at this event. So I'm on 42nd Street in front of CUNY headquarters. I think you can hear the beeping and the bullhorns. We are here and you're here with us. We're all in this rally together. The hundreds of you who are on the phone, we are doing this together. And we stand with you and you with us. We're standing together and opposing cuts and layoffs to CUNY. Go ahead.
Okay, hi. I'm here. We're protesting here on 3rd Avenue between the CUNY office and Cuomo's office. A great turnout in the middle of a pandemic because our lives are at stake. We risk health every day we go to work, and we want CUNY and the state and the federal government to know you have to save jobs, you have to save lives, you have to save CUNY. It's not a slogan, it's a fact of life.
Save jobs, save lives, save CUNY. 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 Save jobs.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, PSC. This is Luke Elliott Negri from the Executive Council of the Professional Staff Congress. We are out here in Queens in great, great numbers. And we are saying we have to reverse these unconscionable layoffs. We are also saying that we are not coming back to campus unless it's safe to return to campus for every single PSC member, for every CUNY employee. And we are saying that we have to tax the rich to fund CUNY fully. And we are also saying that we are New York City. CUNY is New York City. We are in every borough, and we are here to make sure that CUNY is fully funded. Senator John Liu is with us and is going to say a quick hello. Senator Liu, thank you so much for being here.
Hello, CUNY. I'm so happy to be with PSC and all the great supporters of CUNY. We are going into a recession, and in past recessions, the city and the state have invested even more in higher education, and CUNY giving so many people opportunities. We cannot let that commitment slip in any way. Fund CUNY now! Fund CUNY now!
You're here in front of Medgar Evers. Can you introduce us and tell us why you're here?
Yeah, my name is Spencer Crawford. I've been at Medgar Evers for 27 years. This is one of the most grossly underfunded colleges in all of CUNY. CUNY needs to be ashamed of itself. It needs to fund all of its campuses, particularly Medgar Evers College, and we wouldn't rest until all the proper funding is brought to CUNY and to Medgar Evers College.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being out here today. And can you introduce yourself, please?
David Hatchet. I've also been an instructor in Medgar Evers for 30 years. And I'm out here today because I feel like this has been a summer of outrage and a summer of justice. Some of it has related to people's bodies with the police, and some of it has related to people's lives with their educations and their lack of education and how their funding is being stripped away. Having said all that, we can't live in a state that wages war on its own people, particularly its own poor Black and brown people. That's where I'm out here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes, we're down in Queens. We're on Ksenia Boulevard.
Central Boulevard.
Woohoo!
Okay.
Are here. Woohoo! And who's driving? And this Roxana's driving, and we're here. No cuts to CUNY. No cuts to CUNY. No cuts to CUNY. No cuts to CUNY.
Oh,
No cuts to CUNY. No cuts to CUNY. So then he should get out of the car.
Oh
Woo!
my God.
Woo!
Cindy, be careful. Cindy is our HEO chapter chair. Back in your
Woo!
The start of the semester at CUNY is less than a week away, and the Professional Staff Congress has still not been provided with the finalized reopening plans for all the CUNY colleges. We are here because, as the union president and on behalf of the members, I am calling on the CUNY administration not to open any worksite until that worksite can be demonstrated to be safe and free from recognized hazards. CUNY has an obligation under the law to provide a workplace that's free from recognized hazards, and COVID-19 is clearly a recognized hazard.
Today is a clarion call to both CUNY, the mayor, and the governor to ensure the safety, because we can't go back. New York was in the worst position, and we cannot see that happen.
We have always had a strong voice for CUNY, not only as the institution, but CUNY has changed my life. As I enrolled, I'm a two-timer in CUNY, both in New York City College of Technology and John Jay College. I want to add my voice to something that's extremely important. And when you look at the faculty and the students, we must make smart, right, and healthy decisions to ensure that we don't have long-lasting impacts on the quality of life of those who are providing an educational opportunity for the young people who are there. Our staff population, some have comorbidities already, dealing with pre-existing conditions, and we don't want to aggravate those conditions. Coronavirus is real.
I'm the chapter chair for the campus schools, but first and foremost, I'm a teacher, and I'm a teacher among the faculty at the campus schools that wants nothing more than to get back to teaching our students in person. But our building, which is fondly referred to as the brick prison, is just not ready. It has a terrible design where almost no classrooms have windows, an HVAC system that can't even handle the state-of-the-art MERV 13 filters, which you heard Mark Levine describe, which I believe also are vital to minimizing the spread of the virus. There's actually still construction going on, which Barbara Bowen alluded to. And when it's finished, come September, they expect students and teachers to be in the building while they will spend a few weeks conducting tests of the new system to ensure safety. So we have to be there while they're making sure that it's safe. No report, no documentation surrounding the construction project has been given to us to show that the building is safe to return. And the union has definitely asked for that documentation.
CUNY is also imposing a tuition hike that is still on the floor. Many students cannot fathom to think that CUNY will be raising tuition in this time. These are the concerns students have. They're out of jobs, coronavirus, they don't have the support that they need, mental health concerns. These are the students that are reaching out to us and letting us know what's going on. They don't have any help. You know, elected officials like to say, well, we support CUNY, we love CUNY. We need elected officials to show up. We need people to show up to put higher education at a priority. We cannot move forward and reimagine New York City and move New York City into this new decade or new movement that we're going into without putting the City University of New York at the forefront. We are the ones that keep New York City together. It is important that we make sure that higher education is a priority. Our adjuncts are getting fair and equal paid living wages. Students are going to university where there is support and services for them.
There are pages and pages of these screens, and I hope you're seeing the diversity and the power of our union. And this is the power. I mean, when I see you, I see our power. I can make arguments, we can bring lawsuits, and we do, we can fight at the bargaining table, but our power is represented right here. And we have to turn our numbers into power.
Great. Congratulations and thank you to each and every member and ally who participated in this summer of struggle. So we're starting this day by reviewing the 10 demands we've laid out for CUNY to meet by today. You'll also be hearing from members throughout the day on these 10 demands. So here's where we stand on each demand. I'll begin with the first three. Save lives. 1. CUNY must immediately comply with the New York State requirement that universities engage with the unions representing their employees in developing plans for reopening. This was a partial victory thanks to intense local pressure and activism and extraordinary collective union building campaign by the PSC watchdogs. Hundreds of members have participated in this campaign, organizing campus-based committees and working together in weekly citywide meetings. We've also met with other unions that have members at CUNY, and we will continue to do so. Number 2, before CUNY requires a single employee to return for on-site work, CUNY must publicly present a plan for full compliance at every worksite. Compliance with federal and New York State health and safety guidelines regarding COVID-19, with all relevant federal guidelines, and with the parties' collective bargaining agreement concerning workplace safety. Also a partial victory, again, through intense pressure at the bargaining table and in chapter meetings, and through legal action taken by PSC's temporary restraining order to protect members at Kingsborough and Ostos. As so many of you know, at the chapter level, this has been extremely uneven across CUNY, but this remains an issue we battle and will continue to battle each day to individually and collectively protect our members. 3, CUNY must agree that even after on-site work resumes, the university will provide accommodation, including permission to continue remote work for anyone at risk of serious illness or death as a result of contracting COVID-19. This was a partial victory due to agreement by CUNY and PSC actions and pushback so far to make accommodations. We continue our pressure at the bargaining table and on the college level for a clear, transparent, accessible procedure, and we expect to see results. This is not a crisis that affects everyone uniformly. We will continue to demanding that CUNY recognize that our lives must be valued above all else. Now I'll pass it off to Nivedita to read the Save Jobs section.
Thank you, Andrea. And good morning, dear friends. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. The first day of the semester for most of us, and a day when we recommit to our struggle to save our great university. You just heard from Andrea Vasquez on our demands for saving lives. And here are 2 major demands relating to saving jobs. The first one, adjunct faculty and staff, graduate employees, continuing education teachers, and CLIP and CUNY START instructors, and any other PSC represented employees laid off in 2020 for budgetary or programmatic reasons must be reinstated in their positions or in comparable positions with no loss of accrued benefits. As you can imagine, dear friends, for CUNY to meaningfully address this major demand for saving jobs, we know that we have to wage a powerful battle. And as you saw in the clips that we just played, all summer long, we've been doing precisely that. We worked with legislators and close to 20 of them signed a statement supporting our demands. We ran TV ads highlighting our demands to protect jobs and save CUNY. And thousands of our members participated in multiple real and virtual rallies. We also brought a major lawsuit against CUNY management for failing to use state funding to save jobs. And while we suffered a setback with the decision on that lawsuit, we never believed we could win this battle only through the legal route. Our fight on every front continues. Our second demand, all PSC represented employees who have lost or will lose eligibility for health insurance because of budgetary or programmatic layoffs must be restored to eligibility with no loss of coverage. We are still in negotiations with New York City about preserving health insurance. Under no circumstances, but especially in the midst of a pandemic, we cannot have our members lose their basic human right to health insurance. But we need your support in this battle. So thank you again for adding your voice to this fight today. I think it's over to Barbara.
To Sharon.
Oh, Sharon. You're muted, Sharon.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sharon Persinger. I'm the PSC treasurer. I'm talking about the demands, about the structure of CUNY itself in some ways. CUNY must include faculty governance bodies, including department chairs, and where appropriate, the PSC as participants in decisions about curriculum and the modality of instruction, consistent with compliance with the health and safety requirements. At the time these demands were written, CUNY had not announced how instruction would be carried out in the fall. And they took a long time to do it, but along the way, it meant that members, their departments, their department chairs, college governance bodies were able to have input and an impact on the modality of instruction, that even though it's turned out that the vast majority of courses will be taught online, we had the ability to influence how that online teaching was structured. So this has been on a campus by campus basis, and it's definitely been because of pressure by the University Faculty Senate, the local senates, and the PSC on every campus. CUNY must freeze tuition for the 2021 academic year and eliminate the proposed wellness fee. Well, what we can say is that it hasn't been imposed yet. The budget's still not settled. Our pressure continues, the pressure from students with major demonstrations in Albany, demonstrations on the Brooklyn Bridge, other student actions continue. And at this point, the Board of Trustees has not voted to impose these cost increases for students. We have to continue to fight on this one because it's of major importance to the students who go to CUNY that their tuition and that their fees not be increased. And the last one in this area, CUNY must present a public plan for addressing the health emergency faced by its students, including a plan for increasing the number of full-time mental health counselors for students to meet the nationally mandated staffing ratios. We have a partial victory to report here. CUNY has announced that it will spend some of the university's CARES Act money on counselors, but they haven't announced how many people will be hired and what advance they will have made towards meeting those national staffing ratios. So we've won something here, but we again need to keep up the pressure.
Right.
Andrea?
And for the last two demands, I'm going to address them. But before I do, I just wanted to say that you'll notice in the two final demands that Sharon talked about, that they're not directly about our bargaining unit or our members. They're not about our own jobs, but they are. I mean, and I think it's important to see that the union conceives of our agenda as an agenda that is linked to the agenda of students and the city. Many people talk about bargaining for the common good, seeing the bargaining table work as the right arena or one of the arenas in which to wage a struggle for the shape of the university we have, for its terms of existence. And the attempt to shift more and more costs onto students is a further privatizing of CUNY. And it's a further example of how the mission of the university is being diluted and is in danger of being even further diluted in this crisis moment. So I hope you can see the particularity, but also the expansiveness of these demands. They are for all of us, and they're using our strength as a union to reshape not only our workplace, our lives, our professional conditions, but the university itself. The last two that we're going to talk about are specifically about bargaining. And the first is that CUNY management and the CUNY Research Foundation management must stop stonewalling and engage with urgency in impact bargaining with the PSC and must reach agreements on remaining demands by August 26th. Well, here we have a mixed record of success. This demand was generated when we were experiencing weeks and weeks and even months where it took tremendous effort just to get a bargaining session. And then we would get a session to be an hour and a half. That's not enough time to address all the adjustments that need to be made in a crisis like this. I mean, impact bargaining is bargaining over the impact of changes in the conditions of work that are imposed on workers. And CUNY has an obligation under the law to bargain with us over those impacts. Just think of the huge range of impacts of transforming our entire mode of work from largely person-to-person, face-to-face, synchronous work to largely remote work. It's as if we have a whole different set of job conditions, and many, many things needed to be adjusted in those conditions. Finally, after we put out these demands, we got a little more urgency from CUNY, and also after we did some agitation ourselves, when CUNY wouldn't allow people to carry over their annual leave for the professional staff, for the library faculty, for others, because they had given up their own annual leave to help CUNY and work through the summer, and then CUNY was not going to let them take it. We staged a march-in where everybody requested their use of their accrued annual leave on a single day. 2 or 3 days after that, we got word from CUNY that they were in fact relenting on that issue and that they would give an extension on use of annual leave. That's just one small example. We've also come to agreements on people who were going to be up for tenure in this very next year, who'd felt disrupted, who could have an extension, people who were waiting to take a sabbatical, who also might not be able to take it, get an extension, agreements on classroom observations and other critical things. So we've made some progress there, but there is much left to be done. And if anybody from CUNY management is listening right now, and I hope you are, I'm saying to you, let's get to the bargaining table. A couple of hours, a couple of days is not enough. Let's get there. Let's fulfill your legal obligation. We are ready to work and get this done. The Research Foundation heard our demand, and that's the foundation where we also represent workers, the workers who support the grants that many of us toil for and have been longing to work under during these conditions. And the Research Foundation did hear our demands, and they have a tentative agreement on at least some of the critical issues facing those employees. And finally, of these demands, CUNY must bargain with the PSC on class size. I wish I could see everybody who's watching right now and you could raise your hands or your voices and say how many of you have experienced a gain, an increase in class size in this last semester. One of the most pernicious and insidious things that the CUNY administration is doing right now is responding to a crisis of support by accepting austerity, by accepting conditions which make it harder for our students to learn and succeed. And instead of standing up and demanding that there be more investment in CUNY in this moment, that our classes be smaller, instead of doing that, CUNY has laid off nearly 3,000 adjuncts, as Nivedita said, and reacted to that by cramming full the classes of those of us who remain. 3,000 adjuncts is a lot of instructors, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of courses. Where are those students going? They are being crammed into the courses that remain. This is damaging to the students. Everyone knows, everyone who teaches, everyone who supports student life knows that the more attention you can give to a student, the more chance they will have of succeeding. By cramming too many students into a class, CUNY is setting up students to fail, setting up our students to fail. And to me, that's the most cynical thing you can do. herd students into classes and then don't care whether they succeed or not. CUNY management has for decades refused to bargain on class size, and under the state laws about bargaining, it is not delineated as a, quote, mandatory subject. However, the impact of a change in class size is a mandatory subject of bargaining under the law. That means CUNY must bargain on it. So far, they have refused in writing and at the bargaining table. We will take every action, every legal action, every action with you to demand that the impact of the changes in class size be bargained over, that we stand up for that. Everyone shows in the research about online classes that, in fact, the smaller the class, the better. The optimum size is 12, not 52. The idea that you can just cram more students into a class because it's online is a fallacious idea and very damaging. So this, I suspect, will be one of our major fights. It's a fight for us, our workload, academic integrity, and it's a fight for educational and racial justice. 80% of our undergraduates are people of color. They must not be warehoused and crammed into overlarge classes that are going to set them up for failure. So you see there where we are on our 10 demands that we issued at the end of July. You can develop your own report card looking at those 10. Any progress that's been made, and you heard about quite a lot of progress, there's been partial progress on many of them. All of that comes from collective, concerted action by members, like people listening right now, through your action, your work as members. And it shows us that if we keep up the fight, we can create the conditions we need to succeed, I hope, on all of these demands. As Nivedita said, some are much harder than others. This is a fight for our lives in the literal sense of our health, but it's a fight for our lives as people who care about education, people who've dedicated our lives to students and a cause, a mission of education. So the PSC will continue fighting on these, and as we hear through the day, you'll hear about some of these struggles. And tonight, when we come back, now you've watched us at breakfast, you can watch us at dinner. Good luck with your classes today. If you're going into the classroom, virtual or real, it's I envy you, I have to say. I love that first day of class. So have a wonderful day. But when your class is over, come back and watch us at 6:30, and you'll hear where we're going from there. And now I'd like to see if we can hear a little bit about what's ahead of us today, if George Sanchez is ready. If not, I'll say a little bit about what's ready for today, or Andrea will, and then we'll turn it over to George Sanchez, our chapter leader at the College of Staten Island, who's done a huge amount of work imagining and creating the day ahead of us. Andrea, do you want to say a word? You're on mute. Andrea, you're on mute.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Great to hear from everyone. This is a huge day. It's certainly something we have not done before. And so many of you were involved, I would say hundreds of contributing to the program and to organizing it and pulling it all together. So George, James, so many members. So, and our wonderful staff as well, of course. So this is our first ever all-day action, and you'll be throughout the day, I mentioned, you'll be hearing things about our 10 demands from members. You'll be hearing about budget transparency. You'll be hearing about the anti-racist and anti-austerity campaigns we have. You'll be hearing some readings of the incredible op-eds that were written, dozens of op-eds and other pieces that were written. They were pre-recorded, and you'll have a chance to hear them read, I think, by the writers themselves. There will be a 1 o'clock CUNY Rising Alliance and New Deal for CUNY panel roundtable, and at 2 o'clock discussion on budget justice with some of our colleagues and other organizations, talking about what's been done. You'll, as I said, more about the demands. You'll see a lot of videos of actions that you might have missed over the summer, so we'll be replaying pieces of them throughout the day. You'll be hearing from HEOs at noon. There'll be a student presentation this evening of student readings and student art which is great. We'll be hearing from Alex Vitale this evening on NYPD and the New York City budget and others. There'll just be a lot of really interesting things, a lot on health and safety, of course, which is such an important issue for all of us. So you can see the program on the PSC website, and it's probably rolling across that scroll at some point throughout the day. So you should check in the program, and I hope you stay with us for just all day long. It's a beautiful day out. Please don't go out. Stay with the PSC indoors, and I think you'll really be glad you did.
Great.
Oh, there's George. You can say some more.
George, welcome. I'm happy to introduce George Sanchez, professor at the College of Staten Island, a performer, an actor, creator, a writer, and a large part of the creative force behind today's action. Good morning, George. You're on mute, George. George.
Yay. Wow. Woo! Well, man, we've been up for days. Okay, buenos dias, PSC. Buenos dias, CUNY students. Buenos dias to our federal, state legislators, to our supporters, our friends, and our sister unions. I want to welcome everybody. It's a beautiful day, a great day to kick off a new semester, but also to be a part of a new form of political action. And this has been an incredible undertaking. I want to begin by sincerely thanking everybody who's tuning in. Every single one of you, the fact that you're here with us right now, you have all done incredible work. All of us involved in education and working with the youth of this city during a pandemic, during one of the worst things that's ever happened in this country. And I would have to say, because we didn't have a lot of guidance or leadership, you all have taken up that role with your families, with your friends, and with our students. So we want to thank you for being a part of this. I'm so proud to be a member of this union. And today is a big day because here we are, 2012, and 2020, 2012. Oh, Obama was elected 2012. Anyways, 2020, and we are here. We're going to have a great day. We have worked very hard. I want to shout out a few people. There are many people that are a part of this, too many to name, but I'm going to shout out to James Davis, Brooklyn College, Penny Lewis, Aaliyah from Gutman, Andrea, Fran in the office, Naomi in the office, the organizers, so many people. But we have put together a program in a matter of weeks. We have a minute-by-minute accounting that it's a combination of live events that you will be taken through the day, pre-recorded things that address every one of the 10 demands that the 4 officers just read off to you, but with personal stories, with testimonies about what we've all been experiencing. Because why? Why are we doing this? Why would we take 24 hours to do that? Because our lives during this pandemic have felt like we have 24/7 been dedicated to doing something for our students, to supporting our staff and faculty, all the people. You know, we have these titles in our membership, but let's forget, adjuncts are people, CLTs are people, students are the future. And we are just really, really banking on you, literally, to just spread the word. You have plenty of time to send out emails to let everybody know to go to the PSC website, to sign on and register and to participate. We're going to be here until 8 o'clock tomorrow, and it's going to be end with the 4 officers, but we have so much lined up. As Andrea said, student artwork, panels, the student voice is prominent today. We have faculty and staff that are experts in fields that impact all our lives. And we're going to have a lot of room for that as well. So there's something every hour that is of incredible interest. You're going to see members that you have never seen before, people who are really, really committed to social justice, to union solidarity, and to good, wonderful, creative, critical thinking higher education. So I don't know what else to say. I'm very proud to be a part of this union. I love the fact that we are doing this. Our union really embraced a wild idea. What union says, oh yeah, let's do a 24-hour online day of action? Yeah, that's a good idea. We're doing it. We are doing it. We're at the front line of everything. Okay, so I don't know what else to say. I haven't slept for days, so Barbara, help me out.
All right, so you can see the energy George brings to this event, and that energy permeates the whole day. And I'll say that George is himself a veteran of 24-hour events live, which could be even a lot harder. George has done a really important 24-hour performance that I was lucky enough to see against gun violence. So I hope someday he can do it again. And George has been a path breaker in showing how new forms can be born. And I think that what we are seeing today, just modestly, we might call a new political form. One of the outgrowths of this pandemic has been the realization and the exposure of deep fissures and horrible problems in our and misstructures and oppressions in our culture, our society, and even globally that have been laid bare by the pandemic. And in response, we have seen some new political forms. We've seen new forms of protest on the street. We've seen moms with their yellow shirts. We've seen dads with their leaf blowers. We've seen all kinds of new forms. And maybe this 24-hour asynchronous demonstration is a new political form being born. We need new forms in this moment. And sometimes the forms that are born out of crisis become the important forms of struggle to come. Who knew? Even the picket line itself, the moving picket line, was a form invented out of struggle so that people wouldn't be arrested for standing still in front of buildings when they were protesting. That's how that was born. Singing on picket lines was born also out of restrictions against chanting. African-American music, protest music, was born because of of laws that prevented enslaved people from using certain instruments. So we see forms of protest born out of moments of struggle, and maybe humbly we could say this might be one of them. So today, I know we've had a couple of questions already. We don't have a live action on the street. We have live action, as George said, showing on screen, but we don't have live actions taking place synchronously with us today on the street, as we sometimes have had when we've had an on-screen event and a car caravan or a street protest, as we did when we did Cuomo to CUNY and formed a line, a human chain between those two offices. Today, all our action is here, so stay here with us, as Andrea said. And also, at various points during the day, we'll have an opportunity for questions and interaction, and our wonderful hosts, whom you'll see later on in the day, will explain how those work. And also tonight, when the four of us reappear, there'll be a question and answer segment. So get your thoughts ready, get your questions and concerns ready. This is your union. You make the union. The union is not somebody over there, something over there. The union is us. The power is us. We make the union. Make it what you want, what you need in this moment when we've needed it, I think, in new ways that maybe we never anticipated. And today I'll just say one final thing before I think we meet our next guests, who will be from York College. Today is also a day of action. Let's not forget that. At many moments during the day, you're going to hear us and other hosts calling on you to take action, make calls, send social media messages, send emails. If we have thousands of people on today, and we already have thousands registered to participate, if we have thousands of people on, we must act today. We must use today to make our voices heard, make CUNY, make the larger world, our union colleagues. I hope others are watching from the other unions at CUNY. Make them and our students, let them hear us. So please see this as a day of action. And I will turn it over, I think, to Andrea, who's going to speak next. And then we'll lead into what I hope and am confident will be a memorable, fabulous, perhaps unpredictable, important day for all of us. Thank you. Andrea.
Right. So, hi, everybody. So this is a video. We're going to move into a video that was done by our members at York College. And it's a multilingual translation of our 10 demands. So it's longer than we have time for, but you'll be able to see the full version on the PSC website in the future. But we wanted to give you a chance to see and hear some of the creative things that members thought of doing for today. So we can start that video now.
Estas son las 10 exigencias a la Universidad Pública de la Ciudad de Nueva York, CUNY. Preservar vidas. CUNY debe cumplir de inmediato con el requisito del Estado de Nueva York que indica que las universidades deben comprometerse con los sindicatos que representan a sus empleados en el desarrollo de planes factibles para su reapertura. Antes de que CUNY requiera que cualquier empleado regrese al salón de clases, debe presentar públicamente un plan para el cumplimiento total en cada lugar de trabajo de las pautas tanto de salud como de seguridad que exige el Estado de Nueva York con respecto al COVID-19. Dicho plan debe contar con todas las directrices federales relevantes y con las negociaciones colectivas de las partes sobre seguridad en el lugar de trabajo. CUNY debe aceptar que incluso después de que se reanude la enseñanza en el salón de clases, la universidad proporcionará todas las facilidades necesarias, incluso el permiso para continuar el trabajo a distancia a los empleados con riesgo de enfermedad grave o muerte como resultado de contraer el COVID-19. Preservar empleos. Los profesores y el personal adjunto, los empleados graduados, los maestros de educación continua, los instructores de CLIP y CUNY START y todo aquel empleado representado por el sindicato despedido en 2020 por razones presupuestarias o programáticas deben ser reintegrados a sus puestos o a puestos similares sin perder las prestaciones hasta ese momento obtenidas. Las prestaciones de todos los empleados representados por el sindicato que hayan perdido o que perderán su derecho a seguro médico debido a despidos presupuestarios o programáticos deben restablecerse sin pérdida de cobertura. La administración de CUNY y la administración de la Fundación de Investigación de CUNY deben dejar de ser un obstáculo y, en su lugar, participar activamente junto al sindicato en una negociación que tenga gran repercusión y que llegue a acuerdos sobre las exigencias pendientes antes del 26 de agosto. Preservar a CUNY. CUNY debe incluir órganos de gobierno conformados por el profesorado, incluidos los jefes de departamento y, cuando sea necesario, el sindicato, como agentes activos en las decisiones referentes al plan de estudios y a la modalidad de instrucción, conforme al cumplimiento de los requisitos de salud y seguridad antes mencionados. CUNY debe negociar con el sindicato el número de alumnos por clase. CUNY debe congelar la matrícula para el año académico 2020-2021 y eliminar la llamada cuota de bienestar propuesta. CUNY debe presentar un plan público para abordar la emergencia de salud que enfrentan sus estudiantes. De la misma manera, debe proponer un plan para aumentar la cantidad de consejeros de salud mental y así cumplir con la proporción consejero-estudiante exigida a nivel nacional.
10 revendications. Si les revendications suivantes ne sont pas satisfaites d'ici le 26 août 2020, toutes les options seront prises en considération, y compris des mesures juridiques et législatives supplémentaires, vote de censure et la préparation à une grève. Premier point important, sauver les vies. Premièrement, CUNY doit immédiatement se conformer aux exigences de l'État de New York selon lesquelles les universités doivent s'engager à élaborer des plans de réouverture avec les syndicats représentant leurs employés. Deuxièmement, avant d'exiger des employés de retourner sur les lieux de travail, CUNY doit présenter un plan public totalement conforme aux directives fédérales et de l'État de New York en matière de santé et de sécurité dans le contexte de la COVID-19 pour chaque établissement ou lieu de travail ouvert, avec toutes les directives fédérales pertinentes et avec la convention collective des parties concernant la sécurité sur les lieux de travail. Troisièmement, CUNY doit convenir que même après la reprise du travail, l'université répondra aux demandes, y compris la permission de poursuivre le travail à distance des employés à risque de maladie grave ou de décès en raison de leur contraction de la COVID-19. Deuxième point important, préserver les emplois. Quatrièmement, les professeurs et les personnels auxiliaires, les employés diplômés, les enseignants de la formation continue et les instructeurs CLIP et CUNY Start et tout autre employé représenté par le PSC licencié en 2020 pour des raisons budgétaires ou programmatiques doivent être réintégrés dans leur poste ou dans des postes équivalents sans perte d'avantages acquis. Cinquièmement, tous les employés représentés par le PSC qui ont perdu ou perdront leur assurance maladie en raison de mise à pied budgétaire ou programmatique doivent être rétablis dans leur admissibilité sans perte de couverture. Sixièmement, la direction de CUNY et la direction de la CUNY Research Foundation doivent cesser d'entraver les négociations et s'engager d'urgence dans des négociations d'impact avec le PSC afin de parvenir à des accords sur les revendications restantes d'ici le 26 août. Le troisième et dernier point important, sauver CUNY. Septièmement, CUNY doit inclure les organes de gouvernance du corps professoral, y compris les chefs de département et le cas échéant le PSC en tant que participant aux décisions concernant le programme et les modalités d'enseignement conformément aux exigences de santé et de sécurité ci-dessus. Huitièmement, CUNY doit négocier avec le PSC sur le nombre d'étudiants dans les classes. Neuvièmement, CUNY doit geler les frais de scolarité pour l'année universitaire 2020-2021 et éliminer les frais de bien-être proposés. Dixième et dernier point, CUNY doit présenter un plan public pour faire face à l'urgence sanitaire confrontée par ses étudiants, y compris un plan d'augmentation du nombre de professionnels de la santé mentale à plein temps disponibles aux étudiants, et ce afin de respecter les ratios d'effectifs prescrits à l'échelle nationale. Le Conseil exécutif du PSC le 25 juillet 2020.
Welcome back. Okay, we paused for a minute. Maybe I'll turn it over to Nivedita, one of our many multilingual PSC members. These are colleagues from your college, and we really thank them. We'll have another minute to hear from them. It's wonderful to hear the other voices, and what strikes me is the labor of translating our demands so beautifully into, first we've heard Spanish and then French, and we have more to come. Thank you, York College colleagues, for the labor of taking in our demands in the way that they must be taken in when you translate. That's a beautiful labor, and thank you for reading them, because we are a multilingual campus or college, university, and that should be celebrated, not hidden. So I'm glad we can start by celebrating that this morning. So Nivedita, you want to say a word, and then we'll see if we can go back to a little more?
Sure. I mean, you said it, Barbara. This is so beautiful to hear. I mean, we know labor is international. We know the fight for basic rights like health insurance is international, that these are things that people are fighting for right now across the world. So it is really moving, listening to our demands in these different languages. Thank you so much to our colleagues in York for doing this.
Great. So let's see if we can play a little bit more before we turn over at 9 o'clock. Great.
Se le richieste che seguono non saranno soddisfatte entro il 26 agosto, tutte le opzioni saranno considerate, comprese ulteriori iniziative legali e legislative, mozioni di sfiducia e la programmazione di uno sciopero. CUNY deve immediatamente attenersi a quanto stabilito dallo Stato di New York, secondo cui le università si impegnano con i sindacati che ne rappresentano i dipendenti nello sviluppo di piani strategici per la riapertura. Prima che CUNY richieda anche ad un solo suo dipendente di tornare al lavoro in loco, deve presentare pubblicamente per ogni sua sede un piano in piena conformità con le disposizioni sia federali che dello Stato di New York in materia di sicurezza e salute relative a Covid-19 e in piena conformità con tutte le linee guida federali pertinenti al contratto collettivo stipulato fra le parti in materia di sicurezza sul lavoro. CUNY deve poi accettare, anche dopo la ripresa del lavoro in loco, che l'università provvederà ad offrire agevolazioni ai suoi dipendenti, incluso il permesso di continuare il lavoro a distanza per coloro a rischio di forme gravi di malattia o addirittura di morte in caso di contagio da Covid-19. I docenti di ruolo, gli istruttori dei programmi CLEAP e CUNY Start, così come tutto il personale rappresentato da PSC, che sarà per ragioni di bilancio o riprogrammazione licenziato durante il 2020, dovrà essere reintegrato nella propria posizione o in posizione comparabile, senza alcuna perdita dei benefici maturati. Tutti i dipendenti rappresentati da PSC che hanno perso o perderanno il diritto all'assicurazione sanitaria a causa di licenziamento per ragioni di bilancio o riprogrammazione devono riacquisirlo senza perdita di copertura. La direzione di CUNY e la direzione di CUNY Research Foundation devono porre fine all'ostruzionismo e impegnarsi con urgenza nella contrattazione con il PSC e raggiungere accordi sulle restanti richieste entro il 26 agosto. CUNY deve includere gli organi di governo di facoltà, compresi i capi di dipartimento e, dove appropriato, il PSC, come partecipanti alle decisioni sul curriculum e sulle modalità di insegnamento, in conformità con i requisiti di salute e sicurezza di cui sopra. CUNY deve contrattare con il PSC sulla dimensione delle classi. CUNY deve congelare le tasse scolastiche per l'anno accademico 2020-2021 ed eliminare la proposta di tassa di benessere. CUNY deve presentare un piano pubblico per fronteggiare l'emergenza sanitaria affrontata dai suoi studenti e ciò deve comprendere un programma per aumentare il numero di consulenti psichiatrici per la salute mentale a tempo pieno, affinché il rapporto fra il numero di consulenti e di studenti sia in linea con quanto richiesto a livello nazionale.
Oh, sorry, we had to cut. We're going to go over to our next hour, but I want to say grazie mille, muchísimas gracias, merci bien. Thank you, speakers. That was fabulous. I loved it. I want to hear all the rest. Great to hear. And I'll turn it over to Andrea to take us into the next hour. I see our host for the next hour is up and ready to go. So thank you, PSC members. I will see you again during the day and tonight. Have a great day. And thanks for welcoming us and letting us start off this beautiful and important day. Andrea?
Great. Again, as I said earlier, stay home today, stay home all day. This is going to be a fabulous day for the PSC. So we're going to hear one op-ed right now. And as I mentioned before, they'll be played periodically, a reading of the great op-eds we've heard throughout the day. And check out the program on the PSC website. So talk to you later. Here's the op-ed.